Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all still awake and ready to listen to some stuff from us for half an hour. We're from Brightwave. My name is Colin Welsh, so I head up one of the teams at Brightwave that creates our custom learning solutions, digital learning solutions.
And hi, I'm Sophie Costin. I'm a senior learning designer on Colin's team.
So we're going to show you some of our work today. I'm going to share with you a piece of product training that we've developed with 3M. And Sophie's going to talk through a really nice solution that she designed with the University of Greenwich, which helps students to plan their futures. And these two solutions have one important thing in common, and they're both shared learning assets that are made available outside of those organisations to their customers and their potential customers. And that reflects a trend that we are seeing both in business as a business strategy and therefore also in learning development, which is the creation of shared value. So this quote from Harvard Business Review sums up quite nicely what that means. It's about creating economic value for your organisation in a way that also creates value for society by addressing its challenges and needs, and also by addressing the needs of your customers. So to put that in sort of very simple terms, if you as a business can genuinely help your customers and society around you to solve its problems, then you're going to have a society and customers who are more likely to be prosperous, who are more likely to use your products and services, and moreover are going to be more loyal to you as an organisation and your brand for offering your expertise. So that's a kind of more broader view than a slightly more kind of narrow capitalist view that just being in business in and of itself and employing people and paying taxes provides enough of a social benefit. In fact, you'd argue that that approach is rather more inward-looking and ends up with things like more sort of competition on price and people looking to cut costs and actually less innovation. So a shared value approach is more helpful to society and to customers and is more likely to lead to more innovative solutions. I love Venn diagrams, as my colleagues know. This one, I think, sums it up quite nicely. So where you have experience and assets within your organisation that can help address social needs or customer needs, and that also support new and exciting business opportunities for you as an organisation, that's when you are creating kind of true, genuine shared value. And sort of there's an example of that.
Can you all hear me? Can everyone hear me? No, a bit more. I'll try and shout. That's good. That's good. So you might very well be wondering, what does shared value mean for you as learning and development professionals? Well, as businesses start to perhaps try and work more sympathetically in the communities that they work in, we've been identifying that this has been opening up some new opportunities for us in learning and development. So an example might be, I don't know who's familiar with Google Primer. Does anyone use Google Primer? If you haven't seen it, I thoroughly recommend that you look it up on Google Play or the App Store and download it after this talk, of course. It's completely free. They're bite-sized little lessons on digital marketing. There's obvious benefits for the learners here. They're completely free, best practice, advice on how to develop your business in the digital space. But it's not just the learners that are benefiting. So for Google, it obviously is in their favour for people to grow their business digitally in their world. And it also helps build their brand, which has the potential to open up business opportunities and future bits of revenue. So that's just an example of where we can see companies doing something in the L&D world that's helping individuals, but it also has a benefit for them as well. And that example unpicks a couple of characteristics of shared value learning. One of them being these new public audiences, which we're starting to see with some of the courses that we've been producing. We're now talking to public audiences instead. And it also shows this blurring of the lines between L&D and comms as the producers of learning. So businesses are looking across departments to maximise their budgets, even increase their budgets, as they share the cost of creating training across their different departments.
So, as Sophie said, over the past few years, we have been developing more and more kind of shared learning assets that exist in a public space and not just kind of within an LMS to the traditional internal audience. So we're going to show you some examples of some of our work and run through some of the use cases. One obviously is product training. So as Sophie mentioned, we've been working with organisations where we've been using some of the budget from comms to develop learning assets that are useful not just to an internal audience of salespeople, also that we're developing for customers themselves to use. And that's allowed us to work with some slightly larger budgets and on some slightly more innovative solutions. This is a solution we developed for Alair. Alair are a manufacturer of medical products. And this was a product demonstration tool that we developed for one of their flagship testing products. So we were able to use a 3D approach. We used Unity to develop a really interactive 3D model that benefited the end customer in that they were able to get experience on this device, which is quite difficult to access in the real world because it's expensive, and get up to speed, so quicker speed to competency and able to process patient results quicker, and also benefited Alair as a business because it put them in a position where they were providing free advice to their customers and also enhanced their brand and brand loyalty amongst their clients. Another really good example of this is a really innovative and award-winning solution we developed for Diageo using interactive film. So Diageo deliver what's called their Bar Academy Essentials program worldwide. They provide free, really high-quality training for bartenders all over the world. They're not Diageo employees, but they work in bars that serve their products. So the obvious benefit to the bartenders is that they get really good quality free training that help them to enhance their skills, into their technical skills, their customer service skills, and to get better jobs in higher quality bars, which in sort of developing economies is a really valuable thing for them. The fringe benefit, obviously, for Diageo is that their products are being served and presented in a much better way to the end client, and also they're developing that brand loyalty. So we developed this interactive film solution. It was deployed on the web via Diageo's website, and also we developed an interactive DVD game version of it, because it's very hard to distribute film via the web in Africa, where the bandwidth issues exist. So we developed a solution with a really sort of truly global reach, which benefited the society and the bartenders and also Diageo. So it was a really good example of a shared learning asset out there in the public sphere. The solution I'm going to demo to you is a game that we recently developed for 3M's Abrasives division. So I'm going to move over onto this mic here, so I can use both hands. Ooh, that's nice and loud. So just a little bit more about the solution. So we've developed a lot of product training for 3M's Abrasives division for an internal audience. This particular game we developed as part of an outward-facing, client-facing comms campaign, the objectives of which were obviously to demonstrate the effectiveness of 3M's abrasives product range, so essentially abrasive products that you use with angle grinders, but also to provide customers with some really useful information about how to get the most out of their products, and also how to use them safely and in a way that isn't going to lead to people having injuries and losing productivity. So 3M sell these products into a really wide range of organisations, from like the massive shipyards right down to sort of one-man band car body shops. So we had quite a wide audience, an audience that's not used to using computers at work, that hasn't really seen e-learning before. So we wanted something that was easy to access, that was a fun game, and something that could get through quickly outside of work, but also that could be used by 3M distributors and sort of salespeople when they went into organisations to help them to understand the products better. So I'm just going to launch this up. This does use sound, so hopefully it's at the right sort of balance. But we start off with a nice little sort of scrolling animation, which sets the scene. So is this grinding noise drowning the noise of me out? Or is that okay? Because there's quite a lot of grinding going to happen in the next sort of 5 to 10 minutes. On screen, I hasten to add, not by me. So 3M's product range help their customers throughout the whole kind of manufacturing process, from cutting sheet metal to grinding and taking off imperfections and to giving it a really polished finish. So we developed this little sort of scrolling animation with sound in the beginning of the solution, just to sort of set the context for what people are going to learn. Also, majoring on the sort of health and safety angle to make sure people understand the safety considerations. And then we are teaching people. We wanted this to be really experiential, not a traditional kind of knowledge-based learning solution with a test at the end, but so people could get hands-on. So we're teaching people by seeing how the equipment can be used safely, and also what happens when you don't use it safely. So just get this up full screen. So into the solution, we just have a quick check first to make sure that people have done the important safety checks on their angle grinder before they get started. And then we get into the main menu. So as you can see, we've made extensive use of animation and sound throughout. We used a professional sound designer on the project to design the sort of the background ambient sounds and also the sort of grinding sounds you're hearing. So as I say, we structured it as a very simple scenario-based 3-level game, which takes you through cutting, through grinding, and then through finishing. And each level you are able to score points by sort of getting things right the first time and earning points in the form of these stars. So this was not reporting back to any form of LMS, this was just launched via a microsite that 3M customers could access. So each level is a short experience-based game. So in this level we're cutting a piece of stainless steel plate, and at each stage we get various options of what we can do. So we have to select the right disc. What 3M found was that a lot of people using an angle grinder would just keep the same disc on it the whole time because it was easier to do that, whereas some of the discs could be unsafe to use in particular types of application, or as I mentioned before, it could take a lot longer to do a job or lead to sort of stress-related injury via vibration. So you get to try out dragging these discs onto the grinder, the different options, and then you get sort of immediate feedback based on your decision. So this one is not correct, this disc is not strong enough to cut this form of metal, so that would break and could be a health and safety risk. This disc would be okay, you could use this one, but it would take an incredibly long time to cut the metal, so it would be inefficient, and the correct choice would be this disc. So each level moves in the same vein. Once we've got the right disc, we then need to think about the speed that we set the angle grinder at. Again, too slow would be laborious, and too fast, potentially dangerous. I'm just going to get this one right to move through the game quickly. Okay. And as you can see, I've earned full marks in that level for getting it right first time. And then there's also some really important health and safety considerations. So there's different positions you can put your guard in for cutting or for grinding, and making the wrong choice could have some pretty serious repercussions. So this bit comes with a sort of slight health warning, contains mild peril. So if we use the wrong guard setting when cutting, it can have some fairly serious consequences. We have some great sound effects in this part of the game as well. Okay, so that's the overall structure of the game. So just to sum up on the 3M solution, so it's a really nice shared training asset made available on the public web for 3M customers, really helping them to get the best out of the products, make the businesses more efficient, eliminate some of the sort of health and safety risks, and also strengthening 3M's brand. Okay, so yeah, really helping to cement 3M's position as the market leader in their category by sharing their expertise with their customers.
Okay, so some work we've been doing with the University of Greenwich recently has been a really great example of this shared value learning that we're talking about today. So we worked with them to produce a course that helped pupils aged 14 to 19 to plan their future careers. And they've been taking this course into schools in the communities and the areas that they work in. So that obviously has benefits for the pupils who have a clearer direction, a clearer understanding of what they're going to do after school, after college. But it's also helped the University of Greenwich build their business and also build their brand as experts in the area. So as it says here, the University of Greenwich is committed to helping pupils research their future career paths and choices they make. But this goes beyond priming students to attend the University of Greenwich. The pupils they've been working with have wanted to do many various different things, and sometimes that doesn't involve going to university at all. But what it does mean for them is the students that they are welcoming are now better prepared, they have a better understanding of the courses they're about to undertake. But more than that, they understand why they're doing them as well, and that's so important to student success. So previously, they had produced this paper-based workbook that they've been taking into classes and facilitating with the pupils, and it was really well received. It had great success, but there were a few challenges. So, as I'm sure some of you will know personally, this kind of face-to-face training is costly and it's time-consuming, I should say. But also what they found is that the paper workbook was really popular amongst more academic students, so students who probably have quite a good understanding already of what they want to do once they leave school, once they leave college. But the pupils that this training could really help were those who maybe felt that school just wasn't for them. And similarly, they felt that this paper-based workbook wasn't quite relevant to them. So those were the challenges that the University of Greenwich came to us with, and we're looking for a digital solution. So this is a sneak preview of our solution. Oh, no. Little technical. There we go. So what we designed is a visually engaging 45-minute e-learning module that's accompanied by a digital workbook. So the workbook's still there. It has elements of gamification, personalised learning. There's a range of quizzes, and there's also some personal stories and characters that really help bring the content to life. So this course really exists around its menu. As you can see, there's a little helicopter flying across here. There's other little assets as well. My favourite one by far is there's a little balloon man. He holds a balloon and goes across. It makes me smile every time. But although they're quite sort of playful and frivolous elements, what we were trying to achieve was to give students a sense that there's more to this course than meets the eye. This isn't compliance, this isn't school, this is something we've designed with them in mind, and it should be something they can play with and something they can explore. So with that in mind, we really did focus a lot of attention on the visual design. So the University of Greenwich themselves held a number of focus groups where they put the designs out to the students and said, what do you think? As a result, we made some changes and some tweaks. Us ourselves, we invested quite a bit of time looking at the kind of digital media they consume in their pastime. So things like Minecraft are really influential, and the visual design that you see here. A couple of other things about the menu. So right at the top there, it says Welcome Joe. Joe is just our testing name, but if you're accessing it from a Moodle, from an LMS, then it pulls your name through there, so you get personally welcomed into the course. And this is something we use later in the learning itself. And also you can see at the bottom, currently we have 0 out of 3,000, but at the end of each topic there's a recap question that allows you to build up your score. So let's just take a look at it now. So there's so much that I could show you about this course. It's really very visually rich. It opens with this animation, but I won't show you that today. First of all, so this is the workbook, the digital workbook that we created to go alongside this course. To make it really openly usable and available, it's just an editable PDF. But what this means is that students can type in their name, or whatever it is, and they can make a personal record of their learning journey. Oh no, I spelled my name wrong, oh dear. No points there. So the University of Greenwich thought it was really important that they have something that they can edit, that they can keep, and they can keep referring back to, sort of beyond college, maybe even to university, as a record of their learning. So that's available there, and it's something that we refer to in the course for practical exercises as well. So that's one really great element. Another thing that was really popular were these characters. So we go on a learning journey with these characters. They're building their career paths too. Some of them have slightly more academic, more aspirational desires. So Anna wants to be an astronaut. Ishmael, he wants to be a game designer. There's also some more vocational jobs here as well. So Gina wants to be a mechanic, and David wants to get into social care. And these characters help us when we get into the more theoretical parts of skills building and training towards careers as this kind of consistent reference point and a practical example for the students to follow. And so that's there. Now, to go into one of the learning topics themselves, each one follows the same structure. So each topic starts with a quiz that diagnoses the students' current levels of ability, their skills, and their knowledge. So this one here is all about your skills. So we present students with different scenarios, and they tell us how they feel. So this kind of thing is really familiar. I'm sure it'll be familiar to many of you with things like Facebook and BuzzFeed, and it's certainly very familiar amongst this learning group. And in the feedback that we have been getting, these quizzes were by far one of the most popular things. They found it really revealing about themselves, and they really wanted to see what these quizzes had to say about themselves. So you do that, and at the end of the quiz, it reflects back to you your answers, which is maybe not such an unusual thing for a quiz to do. But what this does that's really clever is that later in the training, it pulls your responses through, and it asks you to focus on, in the diagnostic quiz, we said you're an expert at these skills. What can you do to leverage these skills? Or, maybe you weren't so strong in these areas. How are you going to build on it? And that was a really great feature of this course. So then you work through a tutorial. There's a range of interactive questions and presentation screens. And then once you've done your learning, it's back over to you, and it's over to you to apply what you've learned to your personal set of circumstances, so that throughout this whole course you are building your own future journey. And again here, the name is being pulled through, so there's a clear differentiation between us presenting you information, and now it's time for you to do something with this information yourself. Each topic ends with this recap question, so to check and embed the knowledge that you've just seen presented to you, we ask you a question, which I'm hopefully going to get right. There we go. And if you get it right, you see you're building your score up here, and then that's reflected back to you on the main menu. So the very last thing that I want to show you about this course, and I could talk about it for hours, but the last thing I will show you today is we went up to the University of Greenwich and we filmed some of their students. This was helpful for the course content because it showed some of the qualification routes that you could take, specifically at the University of Greenwich, but just in higher education in general. But we thought this was really relevant to this learning group, because it's important to remember that some of the students that we're addressing with this course, they'll be the first people in their families to go on to university, to go on to higher education. And for some people, that's a really daunting prospect. So we wanted to normalise the experience. We wanted to show them what it looked like and show them people who had done it before that aren't so different to them, so they could really imagine themselves in that space. So video is obviously a very useful asset for that sort of thing, but also it engages with YouTube vlogs that are very popular amongst this age group. And so that's what we were kind of mimicking here. So the first group of cohorts are just going through this training now. Oh dear, as I try and get back to the... Thanks. Sorry. So yes, the first group of cohorts are just going through the training now, and we've already had some feedback back from them. It's all been very positive. They really like the digitisation of the Planning My Future course. They love the visual design. But over the next sort of 6 months or so, we'll start to get some of those tangible results back from the University of Greenwich themselves on student retention, student satisfaction. And we're really excited to see what that shows, because we hope, we anticipate that those results will really underline what a great example of shared value learning this course has been.
Okay, so just to sum up, I hope some of the examples we've shown you today have just highlighted the benefits of creating shared learning assets that can be made available outside of your organisation. Some of the benefits that we've seen from doing that is that we've ended up developing content that's far more customer focused and focused explicitly on solving problems that those customers might have. It's also meant that we've been, as Sophie mentioned earlier, been working with not just L&D budgets, but also being able to get access to sort of bits of budget from other parts of organisations, including comms, which has helped us to sort of drive the innovation in those solutions, perhaps more than if it was just for an internal audience. And certainly from our customers, we've seen that they've been able to leverage their own expertise, their own assets in a way that they can then present to their customers in these innovative ways for free to help to deliver that shared value and build loyalty around their organizational brands. So that's it from us. We have all of these solutions on our stand, which is just over there. So if you want to come and see any of them in more detail, please come and say hi to us. If anybody has any questions they want to ask right now, we're happy to take. Have we got a bit of time left? Take a few questions if anyone wants to ask us anything now. One here.
Hi, thanks. Peter Macbeth. I'm interested in to see how you interacted with Greenwich University at the higher levels so that the two-way interaction could be most utilised.
So when you say the interaction with universities?
Students are getting their feedback loops.
Yep.
The university getting theirs to assess their coursework and develop their coursework and communications and infrastructure, lesson infrastructure to be able to take things forward in a better way, in a higher grades.
Yeah, absolutely. So that really is the other half of this course, is that one of the KPIs was around student retention and making sure that their pass marks were improved. So although, like I say, it was a bit broader than just trying to prime people for the University of Greenwich, they were trying to make sure that students come to them prepared. But this is actually part of a much bigger suite of learning that they're doing. So they are also doing things on study skills and things like that. So this is more about choosing the course that's relevant for them, but there's other things that's going on as well. They have an entire dedicated team there to making sure that people are student ready, study ready when they go. Is that the sort of thing you meant? Yeah?
Anybody else have any questions before we go? No? Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Cheers, everyone.